I got the rudder pedals installed, got the bolts torqued down. They move, this one moves a little bit freer than this one. This one's a little bit snugger. Snugger, is that a word? I just put a little layer of corrosion X on there for now, on those areas. I'll eventually put some grease on them. Next I'll hook up these brakes. Brake cylinders will go right here, and then they'll connect to this guy here. And yet I'm just going to put these master cylinders on. And I did send them back to Mako just to add intensifiers internally to them. It's supposed to help with the stopping power since I'm using a little bit bigger wheels. I went ahead and put Loctite 567 on these threads here and tighten those up. This part, they come kind of like this. And I just take that part off, put it in my nylon, I guess it's not a flexible nylon tubing. It's a 1/4 inch outside diameter by, looks like 170 something inside diameter. I'll put that part on here. I cut this tubing with just a razor blade in it to get that end nice and square. So I'm just going to shove that up on that end, make sure it's seated nicely. Screw that part in. Give it a few turns here just to be snug there. Give it a little yank. It's not coming off. I'll go ahead and install that just like it is there. As far as the brake lines, I plan on just going over on my left side over here, because somewhere over in here I'm gonna go ahead and put a parking brake in line with this. The other thing I installed was these little grippy pads. It comes in a roll, and I had to cut about 1 inch off of it to get the width just right. All right, took the torque tube back outside the airplane just to do somewhat of a dry fit of the rest of my controls, make sure I actually have the hardware. All right, I made sure I had all the hardware and everything, and here's what we have. Everything fits well now. You can see a better picture of the, here's the flapper-on stops right there, and that weldment actually will create that stop there that hits each side of that. And once I get the wings on, the flapper-ons rigged up, I'll have to either, if I don't have enough throw, I'll have to notch out a little bit right here, or I guess I could notch out a little bit of the weldment right there. So, but to give myself a little bit more throw if I need it. But anyway, the elevator tube, that tube right there, comes out through the bottom hole. We're connected to the bell crank here. And then you'll eventually have 2 cables coming off of here and down there. And when you move the control stick, it'll work the elevator that way. All right, controls are somewhat in. Again, everything's temporary. I'm sure all this will eventually come back out. But you can see in the back there, those 2 white things go back and forth. I move that back and forth. Move these guys back and forth in my banana slots, which will move the flapper-ons at some point. All right, some of the nose gear stuff. For that the holes that go down here need to go along this surface here. Makes sense, these are already pre-drilled, which is nice. So I'm gonna eventually clamp this onto here, drill the holes. Here's the axle with some spacers. That goes in my tire in there. And then that gets all bolted onto pre-existing holes right there already. First thing I had to do is find center of this. Grab this guy, scraped along it very gently, flipped it over, then scraped it again. And that gave me 2 lines. And right in the middle of those lines should be center. Got it all clamped down where it needs to be. And I'm gonna go ahead and drill a couple holes here, take the clamps off, remove them so I can drill the other holes. There's a total of 4 on here. To put the glare shield on, and as you can see, this little V cutout will correspond to fitting over this guy. All right, well, I got done today. It didn't actually feel like much. We did put the cabin frame back in place and had to notch that guy out a little bit better so it would fit in these tubes here, or around those tubes. Firewall, of course, is put back on. And started on the nose wheel is where we left off. First thing, this plate gets 4 bolts connected to the firewall, then 4 more behind it. And so, got those bolts all into place. Trying to get this block in here. So these 2 bearing blocks actually fit into this little groove here. And I'm gonna have to shave some off each side. But anyway, one of the holes I have to capture is this far hole off to the right, on that right side of the bearing there. It's gonna nestle down into that groove there. And the outside of this doesn't have a hole in it. So I gotta find that hole. All right, so this is what I'm thinking about doing here. To capture this inside hole, just put my drill bit through here and it'll capture a little mark on this guy right here. I got the holes drilled on each side of those into birds. As far as getting these blocks so they both fit in there, I just used a little drum sand on my Dremel tool there. They fit now. Now I just need to up drill. There's 4 holes down here, and then I'm just gonna, again, put a mark on my drill bit in all 4 corners there, and make sure they're nice and square, and then tap them out for some bolts. Now, I'm not gonna drill all the way through. I did put a piece of blue tape so I don't go all the way through the bolt, or through the bearing, but just so I stop just shy of going all the way through it. Okay, well, I got everything, I got this back on here, and I was hoping everything would fit well, and it fits okay. Again, you're supposed to have the screws in there, you know, perfectly, you know, straight and everything else. And all right, getting ready to do the puck system, the nose suspension system. We got the pucks. These are like little rubber pucks. We have these spacers and pieces. Make sure all the edges are smooth in the inside, because some of them look like they're a little bit rough still. So I may have to go around the inside of those, because they'll actually fit into here. Here's 2 retainer clips. They go on first. And you're supposed to grease it up. I'm using this 3M silicone paste. Where the instructions tell you to put a spacer, to start with a spacer, end with a spacer. They give you 10 spacers, 10 pucks. Time you put 10 pucks on here, but you start with a spacer, you cannot end with a spacer because you got 10 of each. You need 11 spacers to put one on the top here. I posted a question in the Zenith forum. One person said they went ahead and called and got an extra spacer that Zenith did not send them. So then I went ahead and called Zenith, talked to Roger. He said, don't put a spacer at the bottom, which I didn't like that idea, because these adjusting points right here are the same size as the rubber pucks, and they would I just didn't like how that system would work, because time you compress them, the puck would definitely fall over this part right here, and I didn't like that whole system. So then after going on to the Zenith forum, I found where another poster had said, no, he confirmed with Roger that you do not put a spacer on the top part of this. And that would make more sense. This up here isn't really gonna matter because it's gonna set up on this piece of metal anyway. So probably no spacer on top is what I'm gonna go with. And that's what it looks like, just resting on there right now. So what I need to do is put some preload on it by loosening these bolts up there, getting a screwdriver, lifting up on that, compressing it so it goes up a little bit, and then tightening that back down. Got a little bit of preload on this. It's kind of, whoops, I just painted that again. It's kind of tight to turn. Hell here, it don't turn too much right now, but I think you do final adjustments once you get it actually on the we're gonna move on to the main landing gear. We got 2 brackets or 2 extrusions that's gonna support the landing gear. These guys are gonna get holes in them. Gotta find the center line where these bolts go, and that'll come up in here like that and hold the landing gear in place, kind of sandwiches it in place. Along with that, you got these rubber guys here. You gotta make some notches out for those landing gear bolts and these. And there's 4 of these, 2 for each side, 1 on top, 1 on the bottom. And the landing gear just kind of sandwiched in between them. All right, so start out, just mark the bolt locations, and then we're gonna drill some holes, starting out small and just start upsizing them. All right, time to move on. I made these guys already. They fit pretty good. Now I gotta make a little notch out for those bolts on those guys. And I can show one I already did. You can see that. Just made a little notch out in it. Both those, they just kind of slides up in there. And there'll be another one setting up a little higher with these notches offset a little bit. So, but we're gonna make those. And how I made those is I just made a little mark on it. Made a little mark on these guys and then just took them up to the bandsaw. Kind of edged them out a little bit, then I went ahead and finished them off with the little sander wheel on my Dremel. All right, went ahead and installed the landing gear. This is how it goes on. Got the orange piece of rubber on top, an orange piece of rubber on the bottom. Then this little angle, a couple gargantuous bolts with 3/4 inch drive or wrenches go on this guy. And you can kind of see it up there. All the way on that side over there. So installing these tires, Mako has you, because of the type of bearing it is inside of here, there's a bearing right here and a bearing on the other side. They have you kind of shake the tire until you get all the play out of it with that nut here, this castle nut. We're almost there. Probably right there. I think most of the play is out of it right there. And then what they want you to do is turn it another turn until you can get to the other hole so you can put your cotter pin in there. And once you do that, you're gonna have some resistance on the wheel, and that's normal. All right, got both back wheels on, and put the brakes part, let's see, I put the brakes pads back on there. And my little fill cap there at the bottom, I'll put that guy back on there if it stays. It may not stay. But anyway, yeah, it may not stay. Anyway, yeah, there it is. A little resistance to the turning, which Mako says that's normal on the brakes. And now we'll go ahead and get started on the nose wheel. Just a matter of putting that together. And I might see if it'll rust on the wheels. Well, I got it on its landing gear, got the table off. Took a little bit of work, a little bit of finessing, but we got the table off, or out from the front. Standing, it's on its own gear now. And looks pretty good, I think. Got the back supported. Without the engine, I guess it's probably pretty tail heavy. We got the back supported on a little stand right there. But now it's just time to sit back and figure out what do I do next. So, well, I think I decided to go ahead and try to get this glare shield drilled into the firewall, and then over into the instrument panel there. I just have that clamped into place in the back, or you can see that from the back side. What? All right, here's a picture of the hole duplicator when it comes time. I'm just going to rest this on top of this skin here so I can duplicate these holes that are going to be right here. Whatever how that goes, I think it's like, yeah, like that somehow. So now we're going to try this duplicator out. And I hope like crazy it works. I got this piece on here, hopefully duplicate the holes in that black upright right there. Try to go in the middle best I can. Well, that seemed okay. Oh, don't come off. All right, that seemed to work. So I tried using my duplicator for the other side, and I realized the holes in this tube I actually made myself. So they're not exactly the same on both sides. So luckily I have a hole finder, a hole. So this actually fits in the hole, has a little nipple, it fits in the other side of the hole. And it's not centered perfectly, but it gets me close enough. All right, there's a series of holes inside the glare shield here. There's one right there, one up there, and then one up there, and then one on the other side as well. So there's 4. And we have these L angles. We actually have to make L angles for this, so they put in here, I call them stiffeners, I guess. The only problem is this skin curves a little bit, so just like the side skin here, we got to put some crimps in there. All right, well, I got these L angles at least drilled. I'm in the process right now of up drilling everything. I got most of these stayed to size 30. These will eventually get to size 20 here in a second. I'm just taking a small break. As you can see, I still have quite a few 40 size here. I'm just working on a few holes at a time and up drilling everything. Boy, these angles right here were a little bit more challenging than I thought. Getting a good curve, had a little tension on them, and I tried to get that tension out the best I could. And I was holding up on the L angle to find the red line in these pre-drilled holes, and Grace tried drilling down into it and actually got my finger. That actually hurt pretty bad, right where the nail and the skin join there. At this point, it seems like the instrument panel is probably locked in position anyway, and they got pre-drilled holes going through the steel member there. So I'm just going to drill into the fuselage, or up through the instrument panel into the steel bar. All right, well, I took everything back apart and primed the joining pieces anyway. Trying to decide what to do next. I believe I'm gonna go ahead and work on this center console that goes in there next. And center console goes in right there. That's where the center console will go, in the middle there. And what they give you is this piece here, which actually goes like that. And then these 2 sides going inside of that. This next side that'll go in there, and you can put switches and stuff up in there. So you got to make 2 L angles. I just made a center line on there on the angle, and then just gonna line it up with the center of those holes there. And I'm gonna have somebody get underneath the airplane, probably myself, and find that red line and have somebody push down as I drill back up through. Just went ahead and back drilled and put the holes in both these side L angles here. Pre-drilled some holes in this L angle here. These are from raw stock L angle. I just put some 4 holes in here, and I'm gonna drill some holes back into here. All right, so here's the center console in place. I just have the L angles clecoed up and down, and I just rested that in places. We'll probably end up drilling some holes down in through here now. Just get some holes started, cleco that together, along with inside of this L angle up there. So for the sides, at least the pilot side anyway, I got a little plate right here. I'm putting these little rib nuts on there. They're like 8/32. These are stainless steel ones. And I'm just using my old cheapo rib nut installer. Screw that in there. And that in there, give it a big old squeeze. Not too much, because you can pull those threads out. I got this down here. I do that. Being stainless steel, they're a little bit stronger than the little aluminum. Aluminums are easy to strip out. I'll get that a little bit tight like that. Give it one more little gentle squeeze. How about right there?
I did touch it.
Okay. No, right there where I'm getting ready to go. Right there on the screw holes. Okay. All right, so this is a side panel, the pilot side anyway. I'm putting screws in, and the other side I'm just going to rivet together. But everything's fitting great. I'm not going to torque these down really tight or anything, because you see all the screws right there. So that comes on and off really easily. There's a little tab I did like John on the Home Built Help videos. Put a little tab up on this little neck here. So I'm just going to drill into my the crossbar here. And that'll just kind of stabilize the top part right there. And actually, it's pretty tight anyway, so I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. All right, center console, I think we're about done. I did have to trim a little bit up here because that thing was just really, really tight, and a little bit down there in that corner there. This is pretty much in place. It's not really moving. Instead, it calls for 4 rivet holes. I'm only putting 2 right here. This is a temporary, just to hold it down a little bit. I might end up putting more later, but man, this thing is pretty darn solid right now. Even back here, again, I did something a little different than what the plans call for. I went ahead and put another little clip added to that flange over there, here. Anyway, I put a little spacer in there because I end up with a little gap piece here. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it just like that, and take everything apart and move on to whatever I think might be next, which probably will be in the seat area.